Hello everyone, Faye Shay is with you. Today I will briefly tell you the movie Friday. Enjoy watching. Before starting the video, I ask you to subscribe to the channel and like it. I tried very hard. For you it's just a second, but for me it's a huge motivation. It's an ordinary Friday morning in the Black Quarter. Here some guy is running with stolen equipment, and here the children are discussing that last week he climbed into their house. Craig was woken up by old ladies asking him to donate to the monastery, and when the door closed in their face, they sent him to fuck. He asks his sister Diana to introduce him to her friend, but his sister also sends him. Having poured himself a huge bowl of cereal, Craig broke off, because the milk ran out and there was nothing to fill it all with. And then the father also appears and proofreads him, accusing him of devouring everything that he puts in the refrigerator. The son was going to throw the flakes in the trash, for which he immediately receives from his father. It seems he thinks that money grows on trees, and the son did not take out the garbage only after that he will be able to eat his flakes filled with water. On Malaya Street, a hooligan calls him a garbage man and leaves. His mother is already in charge of the kitchen and cooks yummy food for herself. But now Craig will have to inhale other flavors. His father called him to his toilet for a serious conversation. Dad is shocked as his son was fired on the weekend. His father offers to catch dogs, but Craig refuses because he loves animals. Some strange girl knocks on the door and asks to use the microwave, and it's better if he just gives her the microwave and she takes it with her, but Craig sent her. The guy came up to the phone and started talking to his girlfriend who was hitting on him that he was walking with some slut and she would get her out of the ground.
Oh my god, bro.
Oh, hell no.
You didn't have to cut me off. Say that I could never know we were nothing. I don't even need your love, but you treat me like a stranger and I feel so loved.
The hero's mother does not understand why the son is dating this girl, and the mother also reproaches the son that he has no purpose in life, unlike his father.
Do not go to the toilet for 30 to 40 minutes.
Dad insists that Craig lift his ass and find a job today. Mom eats everything she cooked herself, and also advised her son to pour water over the flakes. His friend Smokey looked into the guy's room and tore off the curtain, for which he was taken at gunpoint. The friends sent each other and went to be weird. On the street, the curler was cut off by a dealer named Big Worm and demands that Smokey repay his debt. Smokey himself is amazed that a friend was fired on a day off. Craig explained that the boss was reviewing the recording and saw him stealing boxes in the warehouse. Then Debbie rushed past them. Mom tells Smokey that she will never marry people like them. Smokey tells a friend what happened to him 3 weeks ago. He was hanging out with Bebop when Reb drove up and asked the big guy to return his bike to him. But instead the guy hit him so that he flew off a few meters. Smokey can't wait to smoke, but Mrs. Jones doesn't go to work in any way, and the guys leave. Thallum asks friends not to walk on his grass. They came to Smokey's house. His mother was scared, because he knocked like a policeman. A woman talks on the phone all day and does nothing. Smokey constantly smokes the weed he was supposed to sell, and his debt to the worm is $300. The mom gives him $1 and sends him for cigarettes. Near the store, the fool Azar is lying around, who started throwing himself at friends and asking them for money. Azar pretended that he slipped and now demands $15,000 in compensation. Smokey still bought him a bottle of beer. When the friends returned, they stared at Miss Parker, who was watering the lawn and entertaining the guys with her appearance. Craig takes out a radio station on the street, unlike his friend. He does not deal with grass. Then Pastor Clover drives up to them. He calls what Smokey is doing a sin, but he asks them to give him some. Then they saw the girl and the shepherd ran to her, and he was almost knocked down by a Mexican hectare. When Smokey hung out with him, he tried something unusual and he was specifically stuck. And he behaved like a complete jerk, and in the meantime, the pastor went to Miss Parker. Friends almost caught up with the bully who digests all the garbage. Cans here Bebop arrived on a stolen bike and friends instantly took off all the gold. He started shaking the guys. Bebop ran over Phelan and noticed that he left the window open. The big guy ordered Smokey to climb up to him, and if Craig refused to stand on the lookout, he would beat him. When the criminal slipped through the window, Miss Parker's man returned home. The lustful pastor runs out of the house and his cuckold dwarf chases him. Now he will get and his girlfriend. Meanwhile, the rich man returned home. The thieves were given a sign and they climbed back out, but due to the fact that Smokey constantly resisted, they could not steal almost anything. Although Bybab still found $200. Then Felicia came up to the boys. Now she asks Smokey to lend her a car, but in the end the guys sent her to fuck. Smokey still persuaded a friend to try weed with him, and that specifically inserted double in the eyes and constantly undermined somewhere to run. At home, on the shelf, he thought he saw a large worm head that now threatens him. Then a pretty girl came into the guy's room, run, and although Diane is not at home, the guys are happy to keep her company. Smokey asked for her friend's phone number and Craig invited her to sit down. The girl immediately realized that the guys were stoned. Smokey is on the phone with a girl who described herself as a very seductive lady, and Smokey invites her to come. It seemed to Craig that the figurines of dogs howled. He realized that this was already too much and was trying to recover. Smokey reveals all the cards to the lady and bluntly says that his friend wants to hook up with her, but Craig already has a girlfriend and it doesn't matter that he doesn't like her. Here the father comes home. It turns out that a dog bit him on the ass. He drove the idlers out of the house. On the street, the whole crowd of guys gathered an ice cream van near him, and a big gangster worm sells ice cream and he wants to get his money back. Smokey tries to fool him and counts 100 twice, but the worm notices this and his patience is bursting. He says that by 10 p.m. Smokey has to pay him the whole debt, otherwise he's going to kill him and his buddy Craig. Craig is just confused as to why the gangster will fail him, as well as how his friend framed him. Then Debbie drove up because she forgot Craig's wallet, and immediately the bitch Joey drove up and made a scandal when she saw her boyfriend with a girl. Smokey had a stomach, but he couldn't get into the house. Craig's dad also wouldn't let him in. What to do? He had to sit down to shit in the bushes. Then the same fool came. For a couple of dollars he is ready to clean up all the shit later. He starts yelling at the whole street about Smokey pooping in the bushes. And then Craig is already walking with his young lady by the handle and she doesn't even mind lending him $200, but then Felicia sneaked up from behind and rigidly framed the guy. Because Joe freaked out again and sent him, as you understand, she didn't give him money either. Craig is at a loss why his friend is so relaxed. What will they do when the worm arrives in the evening? Craig took out the gun again, and at that moment the father comes into the room. He teaches his son not to mess with the bastards and certainly not to use weapons. Then Rhett, the former owner of the bike, came up to the guys. He is, to put it mildly, a little crumpled. Mexicans came by car to buy goods. Smokey managed to notice the bebop and everyone took off their jewelry again. The big guy again finds fault with Rhett, takes the chain from him. Rhett runs away crying in a wheelbarrow. My sister came home in a bandana of some gang. The dwarf still won't calm down and throws away all the clothes of his cheating woman. A nut ran by and stole women's clothes. The guys make a plan of action for the arrival of the worm, while Smokey shakes from every rustle. In the evening, the nation that Smokey was talking to on the phone arrived, and it turned out to be 3 times more than he expected. Smokey shuts her down beautifully. Craig's sister also doesn't have $200, and mom just doesn't give them. Smokey made his way into the room of a strange girl. As it turns out, Bybab is sleeping here with a girl, but he did not wake up from the rustling. Smokey wanted to remove the fucked up panties, but they fell on Bybab's head. The guy almost got to the money, but then a crazy guy started climbing through the window. He managed to steal at least a toy. Because of the fool, Smokey didn't have time to steal $200. The guys have been hanging out in Craig's room for the last half hour. The worm called them and asked about the money. He heard the wrong thing and hung up. The friends decided to leave the house and Craig took a gun with him. As soon as they came out, the guys were fired from automatic weapons and they managed to survive. They hid in a pickup truck and the gangsters drove past them. All the residents came out of their houses. Another problem was drawn. Bybab beat Felicia. They say she climbed into his pockets and Debbie wouldn't just leave it in response. Bybab hit her. Craig stood up for the girl, then took out a gun. He gives it to his father. Our hero tries to lay the big guy with his fists, but it's impossible to fill up the big guy. In the end, Bebop wins and threatens the whole neighborhood, but then Craig throws a brick at the big guy after adding a garbage can and then just finished him off. Smokey took $200 from him and Rhett came for his chain and the nut took off his shoes. David promised to call the guy tomorrow. In the evening, the father again called his son to the toilet for negotiations and scolded him for not knowing what an expensive funeral is now, so he told his son to keep his ass safe. Finally, this damn Friday is over. If you liked the video, then like and subscribe to the channel. Faye Shay was with you until